Um, Today I'm going to try out something new, right? So I'm always working on improving my predictions and getting to a point whereby I'm as accurate as possible. So even on my worst night, I never get anything below 50%. I want to increase that to a point whereby I hardly ever get anything wrong, if any. So I always work on to improve my prediction accuracy, and I'm going to be doing one of those things. Um, Hey, Jones, how are you? JC, how are you doing? How are you doing, man? What's up? I'm about to start, so I'm explaining a couple of things. So I'm going to test out. Basically, I'm going to tell you what my subscribers have picked, and then I'm going to tell you what my original pick was, and then I'm going to tell you what my new pick is, based on the new criteria that I've created. I know if you've been following me, yeah, how you doing, man? I know if you've been following me for a very long time, you know that I use a criteria to pick my fights, right? So I've created something that I feel like is a little bit of an improvement on my previous criteria for prediction. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to give you my subscribers pick, my original pick, which is on my shorts section, which I upload every single Saturday, and then I'm going to give you my new pick, basically that I'll be using the new criteria that I've created, right? So let's get to it. I think everyone understands. Awesome to see you, Jay Z. Why are you laughing? That's your name. Let me get to the predictions. Peterson versus Pokes. I'm going to be reading, guys. There's so much information. I always try to make sure that I don't forget anything. So to prepare for you guys instead of just saying stupid things. I'm confident Peterson wins this one, although a lot of people disagree. I think Peterson is better than Pokes everywhere, and I know that he has not had that many experienced opponents except maybe Chandler Cole, but Peterson has a 100% finishing rate and only lost to Waldo Costa, while Pogues, on the other hand, has a 50% finishing rate. So I don't think Jamal's experience will have a big impact on this fight. I will say 70% Peterson wins this one. This was my original pick, and it's still my pick. My subscribers went with Jamal Pokes. Jamal Pokes, no, no, no. I'm not going with Jamal Pokes. I'm going with Peterson on this one. Um, on to the next one. Medeiros versus Quinones. This is a hard one because on the feet, the Medeiros seems better, but that could be because he was not fighting high level fighters. So he seemed very effective because of that. Maybe, I don't know. On the other hand, the more complete fighter between the two of them is Quinones. He can submit Medeiros on the ground and maybe strike with him, but both fighters are very hard to take down, and Quinones is not good at taking people down, which means the fight might be on the feet, which I think favors Medeiros. On the other hand, Quinones has a slightly higher finishing rate. Oh my god, like what's happening? Okay. Quinones has a slightly higher finishing rate. My new criteria says Medeiros wins, and my original criteria says Quinones. So I will have to go with Medeiros, even though I'm very doubtful that he wins, especially after Factory X had so many losses last year. But my official pick, according to this new criteria that I'm using, is Medeiros. I think it will be 50-50. My subscribers went with Quinones. But how are you? How are you, Oru? I hope you can understand me. I know you speak Spanish. I hope you can understand me. Let me go on to the next one. Stoliarenko versus Carolina. It is very hard to predict women's MMA because in one fight they can look like future champions, and in the next look like they shouldn't be in the UFC. Stoliarenko has a 91% finishing rate, but all those finishes came by way of submission. And out of 6 fights that Stoliarenko had in the UFC, she has only won 2, and those wins are Molly McCann and Jessica Clark, which are not really great wins. On the feet, Luana is better, and Luana is not that easy to take down and control. And if Stoliarenko can't take down if Stoliarenko can't take Luana down, then it will be a hard night for her. My original pick was Luana Carolina. My new pick is Stoliarenko. But I think the fight will be 50-50. My subscribers picked Stoliarenko. Jamal, okay, on to the next one. Builder versus Lee. Builder versus Lee. I'm pretty confident Builder wins this one. About 70% sure. Lee is a good striker, but I think Builder striking is very underrated. He might not have the most technical striking ever, but he has effective striking, which is more than enough. And on the ground, I still think Builder wins. This was my original pick, and it is still my pick. My subscribers also picked Builder to win, right? On to the next one. I'm assuming there's connection problems because I can see that some of you guys are being disturbed. Hopefully, it's not too bad. Gorimbo versus Rodriguez. This is a tricky one because on one hand we have Temba, who has decent striking enough to survive on the feet, and he has a good ground game. On top of that, he shoots a lot of takedowns and is pretty good at taking people down. So obviously, the obvious pick, would be Temba. But on the other hand, we have Rodriguez, who has a 100% finishing rate with a lot of power in his hands. Even though Temba has a good striking defense, it is not great, which means there's a high chance Rodriguez lands a big shot. But this alone is not enough to make me pick him because Temba is more well-rounded, and if he uses his grappling to tire out Rodriguez, then I'm sure he will win. So I will say 60% Temba wins this one. This was my original pick, and it's still my pick. My subscribers also picked Temba Gorimbo to win. On to the next one, Maxum versus Johnson. 80% chance Maxum wins one. Here's why. Even though Maxum's offensive striking is horrible, he has amazing striking defense. So even though he does not land a lot when he punches, or rather when he throws punches, it is difficult to hit him, which will open up opportunities for him to take the fight to the ground. And although he is also not good at taking people down, I think his defense opens up opportunities for him to take opponents down and get some type of an advantage. Because offensively, I don't think he's good. Whether it's on the ground or on the feet, I don't think he's good. But defensively, he is very, very good. So I think that opens up a lot of opportunities for him to take the fight wherever he wants to take of his defense. And because of that, I'm going to pick Maxum, which was my original pick, and it's still my pick. My subscribers also picked Maxum to win. On to the next one, McCann versus Belbita. McCann and Belbita fought, I think, about 4 years ago. McCann won a decision, but that was 4 years ago, and obviously Belbita was a little bit inexperienced. McCann was the more experienced fighter. My initial pick was Molly McCann, but I forgot the fact that she was dropping down in weight, number one, and she's a big girl. So her dropping down in weight is going to affect probably her chin, her stamina, and I think all-round performance. She won't be as strong as she normally is. Whereas this is where Belbita has been performing, competing for an extended period of time. So although my initial, and it was difficult to pick Molly McCann, I was asking myself, am I really picking Molly? But if it was upper weight class, I would probably stick with my pick of Molly McCann. But because it's a weight class below, and I know that she announced that she is going to drop down a weight class about a couple of months ago, after her loss. So which means she has been working on dropping down in weight for a very long time. But I still feel like it's going to be too much for her, and she has not been the greatest fighter. She's been okay. People that she's beaten are not like that great of fighters. So my official pick will be Belbita, but I think the fight might be 50-50 in my opinion. I think it's going to be 50-50 because I think both fighters have advantages and disadvantages, and combined with the fact that Molly McCann has already won this fight, and although you can say that, well, Belbita was not experienced and Molly McCann could not finish her, even when she didn't have a lot of experience in the past, which would be correct, but we can also argue that maybe Molly McCann has also improved to some extent. Even though she's not like a championship fighter, maybe she's not even a ranked fighter, but she might quite possibly be like, the gatekeeper. A gatekeeper is good, but not too good. So maybe she might be a gatekeeper, and I guess we'll just have to see how Belbita performs against Molly McCann. But the official pick for me is Belbita. Um, I'm changing my previous pick, which I made on my shorts. My subscribers also picked Belbita to win this one. On to the next one. Urbina versus Redkey. My original and current pick is Redkey, and here's why. I know Urbina is a good fighter with a good ground game, and Redkey's performance against Blood Diamond, people are thinking, well, if Blood Diamond can take you to a decision and almost beat you, then you must be a terrible fighter. But I disagree. I think I saw the most improved version of Blood Diamond, in my personal opinion. I think Blood Diamond came into the fight with Key a little bit more improved than he has been in his previous fights. He was not as easy to take down. I think his offensive and defensive striking were a little bit more improved. I think if you go back and look at that fight, I think you'll be able to see that, especially if you compare Blood Diamond's previous, maybe all his previous fights, especially in the UFC, with the fight against Redkey. I think Blood Diamond had improved significantly when he fought Redkey. So I think a lot of people are counting out Redkey largely because he had a close fight with Blood Diamond, which I don't think makes sense because Blood Diamond had improved. It's not like he was fighting the old same Blood Diamond. So it's because of the. Although I can admit to the fact that the fight might potentially be close, but I'll say 60% Red Key wins this fight. I'm 60% sure Red Key wins this fight. Obviously, I'm saying it's going to be close because I know Urbina is a good fighter. My subscribers went with Urbina, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So my official pick is Red Key. My subscribers' official pick is Urbina. On to the next one. Kizriev versus Muradov. Here's another tricky one. This is another tricky one, largely because I feel like on the feet and on the ground, Kizriev is the better fighter. My biggest issue, and I picked him initially, right? I picked Kizriev. If you look at my shorts, my pick is Kizriev. But my problem is Kizriev is, I think, around 33 right now, right? I think he's around 33. And he has been off for a very long time. Whereas Muradov has been active. So I think I normally don't take into consideration how much time someone has spent out of the octagon because I don't believe in ring rust. However, I feel like the older you get, the more probability of ring rust affecting you. Well, when you are still young, I don't think ring rust can affect. Obviously, there's a selected few people who are special who probably cannot be affected by ring rust, even if they're older. One example is John Jones. John Jones came back, I think, at around 35 years and became the champion. So there are a few exceptions, but generally, if you get older and then you take a lot of time off, then it'll impact how you perform when you come back into the octagon. I could be wrong, but because of his time off, among other things, but one of the biggest reasons is because he's been off and his age. I think a combination of those two things is going to affect his performance. That's what I think. And because of that, I'm going to change my pick from Kizriev to Muradov. My subscribers also picked Muradov. Um, yeah. On to the next one. Araujo versus Silva. I'm 100% sure that Silva is going to win this fight. I don't know. My subscribers are usually, hi, Gustav. How are you doing? My subscribers are usually incredible at predicting fights, but this one, I don't know what happened, guys. Like, what happened? Because you guys picked Araujo, and it's clear as day that Silva's going to win this fight. That's why I'm saying I'm 100% sure. If there was ever a lock, if there was ever a lock, I haven't done like officially locks of the week and stuff like that. But if there was ever a lock on this card of someone who's 100% going to win, it's Silva. Natalia Silva is going to win this fight. There's no way Araujo is going to win this fight. My subscribers, nonetheless, they picked Araujo. I don't know why, but hey, what can I say? My official pick is Natalia Silva. On to the next one. Brown versus Salikov. So here's my thing with Brown versus Salikov. I remember they were supposed to fight at UFC 294, right? And the fight, is it 294 or 296? I don't know. I can't quite remember which specific card they were supposed to fight on, and it was rescheduled. And both times in that card and on this particular card, I had picked Salikov to win, largely because I feel like Salikov is better everywhere, whether it's standing or on the ground. My problem is Salikov is now 39, and sure, I know that there are excellent fighters who are still performing really well, even though they are older. People like Nicholas Dalby, people like Jim Miller, people like Bobby Green. Bobby Green, I think, is about, I think he's around the age of maybe 37. I don't know, I'm not sure. I think he's around that particular age. So, because of that particular reason, I feel like um, it's going to affect his speed. And the only way you beat Baragiman Brown is if you pressure him. Because when you pressure him, he starts to panic and usually ends up making mistakes, which is basically what happened when he was fighting. What do you call him? When he was fighting the guy from Australia, I forgot his name. Yeah, Jack Della Maddalena. Yes, that's what happened. He pressured Brown, and then eventually was able to get a knockout. So if you can't pressure him and you require speed in order to pressure someone, if you're not fast, you cannot. I don't think you can pressure anyone because they can move. And Brown is not like an average fighter. I think he's a really good fighter. So if you don't have the speed to pressure him, he's going to find ways to get out of the way of your shots or whatever the case is. So it's because of that I think I'm going to go with Brown. My initial pick was Salikov, so my new pick is Randy Brown. My subscribers picked Muslim Salikov, but I think the fight will be 50-50 in my opinion. Moicano versus Doba. My original pick was Moicano because I felt like on the feet he is the better striker. Doba only has the power advantage, and on the ground Moicano wins. But Moicano is around 35, coming from an injury, while Doba has been active. So my new pick will be Doba. When I made my shorts, my subscribers had like it was 50-50. So when I was basically creating the video for predictions, to break the tie for my subscribers because 50% of them had voted for Doba, 50% of them had voted for Moicano. But eventually they casted more votes, and the new vote for this particular fight is Doba, not necessarily Moicano like it says on the shorts. So the new pick for this particular fight is Doba, which is my official pick as well. Um, the main event, Dolidze versus Imavov. Um, I think I think Dolidze doesn't necessarily. He's good on the ground, but he never goes there. I think he's like Sean Strickland, but Sean Strickland is good on the feet, so that's understandable why he doesn't normally go to the ground, right? It makes sense why Sean Strickland doesn't necessarily go to the ground because he's good on the feet. Dolidze, after watching him fight Vittori, I'm confident that if this fight stays on the feet, Imavov is going to win. I'm 100% sure that if this fight stays on the feet, Imavov is going to win this fight, especially after watching Dolidze fight Vittori. And of course, Vittori looked improved. He seems like he improved his striking, and I understand that, but it was still slow, and it wasn't like that great, and he still lost to Vittori without even having to use grappling. So because of that, I feel like I'm going to pick Imavov. Obviously, not that's not the sole reason. I also feel like Imavov is good enough to survive on the ground, even if not grappling, but managing to get back up to his feet. I think he's smart enough to not try to grapple with Dolidze. And on the other hand, Dolidze is not that good at taking people down. He's very sloppy, he doesn't commit, like he makes a lot of mistakes. Maybe that's why he prefers to just stand, and he goes to the ground if the opportunity presents itself. But when there's no opportunity to go to the ground, Dolidze stands up. If you stand with Imavov, you are going to lose, especially if you are Dolidze. And especially if you lost on the feet against Vittori, guys. Like Vittori is a wrestler. I don't know if I should call him a wrestler. Yeah, I guess that's what he is. He's a grappler, but he doesn't submit people. So if Vittori can beat you on the feet, then Imavov is going to destroy him. Especially if you look at the fight that Imavov had with Sean Strickland. So my official pick is Imavov. My subscribers also picked Imavov. Um, Thank you guys for watching. I wanted to do the investment live. I told you guys that I'm going to research and find ways for you guys to maybe invest in TKO, the holding company for UFC and the WWE. So I'm working on something like that. So I'm going to be doing regular lives whereby I take you through the process of basically investing. So I have new information that I want to share with you guys, but I'm going to do a separate live. This is purely for predictions. So just keep an eye out for, or maybe I should just do the live now. What time is it? Yeah, let me just end this live and just start a new live whereby I'll talk officially about the investments that yeah. Let me end it now. Thank you for watching, guys. I love you. Deuces.